Hey everybody, how you doing? I am here now with the great funny man, Eddie Pepitone. Eddie, so nice to
Hey,
see you again, my friend.
so nice to see you, Travis. Last time I saw you, I was traveling with JT. We were rolling through the Northeast, and you and your wife were so nice to put us up, and I got to snuggle with these Boston Terrier puppies, man.
Yes, yes, those those the they're both the joy and I tell you what, I love my dogs. I absolutely love them, but nobody should have four dogs. All right.
Four is a lot.
Four is a lot. Well, everybody, I know you had them in your neighborhood growing up, because I had them in my neighborhood. You know, the crazy cat lady, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, Travis
yeah.
married the crazy dog lady. You know, if it wasn't for me, that woman would have 10 dogs running around the house.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you know there's an actor? He's a retired actor, I read, in Los Angeles, and I don't know if he inherited property, but he's got acres of property, and he devotes it to stray dogs. He takes in all these stray dogs, and he takes care of them all. He had a video where he comes out and feeds them, and they all are just waiting for him. And it's so beautiful because just, I have come to just love dogs. I mean, every time I see a dog, my heart, like, it's a tough world these days. There's so much cynicism. There's so much meanness
Yeah.
in the world, and then you hang out with dogs, and you're like, wow,
Well, I
why
tell you what,
can't
myself,
life be like this?
I got two things. Dogs, I do believe, are the most noble creatures on earth. They really are. They're true blue.
I
I mean,
do
solid
believe that.
dogs. And I always like to say, and this is something you'll get, all right? A dog may shit on your floor, but people, my friend, will shit on you. You know?
That is very true. That would be a good bumper sticker,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
make some up, right? Maybe make some T-shirts up, make a couple of
well, I
bucks.
just, well, I like the bumper sticker idea because in LA, being on the road and
Yeah.
everybody's, got to buck up their ass. That'd be a good one. Dogs may shit on your floor, but people shit on you.
Now, do you have any pets? I know being doing the
Yeah,
comedian thing, you
yeah,
travel
of
all over.
course I
You
do.
got to
I
take
have
care of them.
one.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I'm sure it's difficult to take care of them as much as you're on the road, right?
Yeah, well, my wife will take care of them when
Yeah.
I'm on the road, and we revolve our life around them, really. Like, I don't want to
Good,
leave.
good.
Like, my dog now, my terrier, my little Charlotte, little terrier mix. She's 16, so we really can't farm it out. Like, we
Yeah.
really can't travel together anymore unless we take Charlotte, because she's so quirky. She's old, and you can't leave them with somebody for all kinds of, hygienic reasons. And they're so Charlotte is so quirky. She's an abandoned, she's a rescue, so she was abandoned. So she's got all these abandonment issues. I always say that me and Charlotte are very similar. I have abandonment issues, so we follow each other around the apartment.
Yeah.
And I'm always going, Charlotte, you okay? And I'm like, you want to eat? And we just eat and snuggle.
Yeah. Nah, dogs are the best, man. They really are.
Oh
The way
man,
the phrase "man's best friend," you hit it right on the nose.
mm,
You know.
mm. Yeah, man.
I tell you, we're a bunch of same too. Christine and I, my lovely bride, we haven't been on a true vacation in years
Is that
because,
right?
well, we'll go away for like a week. We do weekenders. We'll head up to New Hampshire or down to Philadelphia or something like that. We'll bounce around the
What do you
North.
do with the dogs there?
We take them with us. She
Oh,
does the
good for
she
you.
does the Airbnb thing. She'll find a house that accepts
Ah,
dogs, or a hotel. Sometimes it's a hotel that'll accept
yeah.
dogs. And
Four of them? You take four?
yeah, well, luckily they're all small.
That's what, they're small. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Well, that's good because it's a bit of work. but they
Oh
must
yeah.
be used to it. They're also incredible travelers. Like they get so used to traveling
Hmm.
and they just like hang out and wait for you. It's really
Well,
cool.
our dogs they get mad if you see you pack a bag and you're not taking them. You know,
Oh
or
yeah,
anytime you get in the car, if the car is up front, they want to get in the car. They see a car, they want to get in it because they think they're going to go somewhere. You know, so they
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm so empathetic to her. But Charlotte's like that too. Like, if she knows before we go that we're going to run a couple of errands,
Oh yeah.
and you know what I mean, before, and it's amazing that sense they have. They just know your movements. They know your pattern. They know that you're getting ready to leave, whether it's picking up your keys. They
Yeah.
like little things.
Absolutely.
They know.
Absolutely.
They're
They
little
know.
detectives. They're little
They are
detectives.
absolutely, and they know. Like I say, anytime I'm doing any of my book nonsense, traveling across the country for shows and signings and things like that, they see that bag get packed, and they're not going. They get upset, and they know, you know, they know Daddy's
Do
going
you,
somewhere.
do you, because I'm crazy like this, but do you feel like, oh God, I can't leave the dogs? Like, do you feel this empathy for them, or are you good saying, all right, I'm going?
Well, I hate to say, not so, I have to do what I have to do. Yeah, I'm a grown up. I
Right.
do what I got to do. That's it. This is what's happening, you know. But I will tell you that 2, 3 days without the dogs, you start to miss them. I mean,
Oh,
like
yes.
miss them like they're children. You worry about them. I call my wife instead of, "Hey, hello, honey, how you doing? I miss you. I love you." It's like, "How are the dogs? Are they all right?" You know, everything okay with the dogs? And my wife is, that's me. My wife is 10 times worse. You know, so she loves
Yeah,
those
yeah.
dogs. She loves
Look,
them.
it's all about the dog. They're unconditional love, so they're the best part of us. They're
Absolutely.
the best part of us. So
Yep.
it's interesting when you're with someone in a relationship because the dogs are really like the best part of the relationship in the sense that it's love,
Yep.
whereas with people it's I used to do this bit in front of audience where I go, we don't deserve dogs, okay? People, and I'm talking to you people, like I'll look at the audience and I'll
Yeah.
say, you're cunning, deceitful fucks.
Yeah.
Is cursing all right on the podcast?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look who you're talking to, you know?
You even have more of a New York accent than I do. It's so funny.
That's because you've been gone so long.
I've been living in LA for 22, 23 years, and I feel like I'm getting each day more and more New York. Like instead of getting more West Coast, I get more New York in defiance
Yeah, in
of the
defiance.
West Coast. Something like that. But
Well, you've been around though, right? You live in LA now for what you say, 22 years. You lived in Chicago for a while too, right?
no,
Oh, you
no,
did.
I don't know where you got that, but I
Well, I
like
know you used to do
Chicago.
something with the comedy out there. Maybe I just thought you were out there
I just taped a new
a little bit.
special out there.
All right, all right. So it was New York to LA, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. I've lived on both coasts.
Yeah.
I've lived on both
And you
coasts,
are a
and
Brooklyn/Staten Island guy.
yes, my dad was, so we're living in Brooklyn. My dad's from Marine Park. My mom from Hoboken. The big thing in my mom's family was supposedly my mom's mother, my grandmother, dated Frank Sinatra for a very brief period in Hoboken. Sinatra's from
Oh,
Hoboken.
and that's serious business in Hoboken. You know.
That's right. Even though I don't know, Hoboken is completely gentrified now.
Oh yeah.
Hoboken is like a hip place to live, blah, blah,
Well, it's like
blah.
Brooklyn. Brooklyn is it's New York. Not for nothing. There's no New Yorkers left in New York, in my opinion. In New York City,
Where'd
there's a
they
few
go, man?
stragglers
Oh,
in
right,
Brooklyn or
right,
Queens or the Bronx, but
right.
in Manhattan, there's none. There's not. All of us are gone. We're all gone. So
Yeah. Did you grow up in Manhattan?
yes, sir, I did. Yep.
Where'd you grow up?
Well, we kind of did the gypsy thing. Every time the lease was up, we got a new apartment. So we had a place when I was very young on 11th and Hudson. Then
Ooh,
uh, tw- what was it? 13th Street, 14th Street on the east side, and then we headed uptown to the Yorkville section, which is East 80s and
yep,
80s and
yep.
90s, where we
Yeah, I know
had
it all.
two different places on 81st Street and one on 92nd Street. And it's funny, like you
81st
go,
and
ooh, for the village there. But if you remember the New York City in the 70s and
yes.
80s, it was a different world,
Yes,
my friend.
I do, man. It was rough. It was rough. It was gritty. Yeah, it was gritty and man, the subways were pretty crazy too. They were, you know. But yeah, it was a different New York, obviously. And you're right. They've been priced out. Everybody's been pretty priced out. I don't know where the hell they go. I mean, even Brooklyn now. I mean, that's what happens is that, okay, so then they get forced to Brooklyn. Then Brooklyn becomes, you know, like right now, Bushwick and what is it? Bushwick and some other Brooklyn place that I was told never to go near is like expensive housing now, you know?
Everything. It's so crazy. The rents are
Where do
so
people go then? Where do they fucking go?
I don't know.
Yonkers?
I don't know. I mean, you see these places, studio
Mm.
apartments going for, five, six, $7,000 a month. Do you know the place, the Globe? Well, I don't know. I shouldn't be talking about other people's businesses. A friend of mine has a pub in New York City. All right,
Hmm.
and what do you call it? He pays $47,000 a month in rent.
He doesn't.
Do you know how many bottles of Budweisers you got to sell to make $47,000?
He
Because
better
this
be
wine are like eight
selling.
bucks a piece. You know,
How much do the beers go for?
they're like $8.
A Budweiser? Oh
Yeah,
God.
it's
Glad
crazy.
I don't drink.
Crazy.
Glad I don't drink.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, and I guess that rent is calculated on the fact that the landlord's like, well, you're going to be making this amount of money monthly with this business, so we're going to charge you.
They don't care,
How,
dude.
so your friend does it. How does he
He
do
does
it?
it. He's got two places, as a matter of fact. You know, but well, you break your back, man. It's a constant hustle.
Life
I'm
isn't
having,
worth it after a certain point. Like, if you're going to break your back that much, when do you get to enjoy?
yeah. Well, another friend of mine had a place in Brooklyn. I can't think of the neighborhood right now. Really nice little pizzeria called Layla Jones. I hope it's still there. Very, very good pizzeria. If you're in Brooklyn, check it out. All right.
What's it
And
called?
Layla Jones, and they do a couple of different things. Got a nice little garden in the back. It's a sweet little place. Um,
Mm.
David, I'm talking to you. If you're listening, I'm talking about you, Dave. So it's a really good place. Guy, I mean, I'm going back like maybe 5, 6 years ago. We were shooting something down there, with some bands and artsy stuff. And he told me that the building on the corner had just sold. It had sold for like $5 million or something like that. And now I'm looking at it. You have a small, this is Brooklyn, small building, right? A small storefront, two apartments upstairs. How in the world are you going to pay your mortgage with, you know, three small rental units? You know, I don't know, but they do it. They do it.
They, well, I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. I don't.
And I'm glad I'm not part of that, man. I mean, that's
You and I
too
both.
much of a hustle. Too much of a hustle. I mean,
You and I both.
yeah. Well, you have a good deal, man. Yeah, I mean, I want to go where you are. I love that part of the upstate, I love
Well,
it.
when are you coming
The
back?
Hudson Valley. Soon. Soon, I hope. Because I've had it, the fires broke out here, and it just reminded me of how tenuous stuff is
Oh yeah.
out here in Southern California. Man, these fires were scary. I got two evacuation orders
Yeah.
during this. It felt like the fires were coming closer and you feel like you're being surrounded. And the evacuation orders turned out to be erroneous. They were
Ah.
mistakes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have two animal. I have a cat that's older and a dog that's older, and we were ready to get the fuck out of here. And then they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was a mistake." It was very nerve-wracking, though, and you're being told there's toxins in the smoke because houses are burning,
Sure.
cars are burning, and
Sure.
excuse me, the amount of electronics that are burning and houses,
Yep.
chemicals that are going up in the air.
And they could be miles and miles away. They're still going to get to you. You know,
Right.
it
And
was.
I'm like, Jesus, I'm in the fourth quarter of life, as you put it. And the last thing I need is to be sucking in chemicals at
Yeah.
this point.
Well, that was like that whole horrid, 9/11 thing that we all went through when it happened back in
Were you
June.
living in the city then?
Yes, I was there. I was
Or
at
were
my
you
last. I,
upstate?
I worked at. Well, we were upstate in Brewster, New York. Okay,
Oh,
which
okay.
is upstate from there. But I had just retired like 8 months before, and
Mm.
what do you call it?
Wow.
I went down and worked it for the
You
first five
did.
days. Yeah,
Oh, you did.
and the thing that was, I mean, I've lost so many friends, because of the cop thing. Um, so many cops and firemen that I knew, and believe, I can't remember what the numbers were, how many
You
thousands of
lost a
people
lot of
they out.
friends, huh?
Well, out of the 3,000 people that died that day, we've lost like 4 or 5,000 now from the cancer that everybody breathed in.
Plus four or five
Yo,
from the three.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, and people don't know that because it's not that you don't care, but how many times can you hear about 9/11 again and again and again?
Oh, I know.
You know?
You know who's been a great advocate for these people is Jon Stewart, speaking of comedians.
Well, it's funny. I tell you, I just did a little thing on my new Instagram. If you will take a look at that,
Hmm.
um, the guy that said, "Oh, you're gonna make me cry now." We're supposed to be having
Oh,
fun because
no.
you're a comedian, you fucker. All right,
No, 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 no. You
the guy.
comedians, when you get to know comedians, they're
Oh, you're
so
all a bunch of
fucking
miserable
sad.
fucks. I know. I know too many of you, and you're all miserable bastards. So, but anyway,
We all hide behind the clown mask.
this is a terrible story I'm going to tell you now because you brought it up. When Jon Stewart
Don't blame me. Yeah.
went to Congress and sat in front of Congress or the
Yeah.
Senate, whoever he was sitting next to, he was sitting next to a detective named Luis Alvarez. Okay,
Okay.
I knew Louis Alvarez before we were on the job, before we joined the police department. Okay, I knew him as a young, strong guy. I just posted a picture of him like 2 weeks ago up on my Instagram, and great kid, beautiful kid, really, really good, decent guy. We used to work at a place called the Baja Club together on 72nd and Columbus. I don't know if you remember the club.
Yeah.
And we worked
No.
there together. Good, all American kid from Queens.
And he was a detective?
Ex-Marines. He was a detective in the bomb squad. So anyway, the cancer got him, and shame on me. I saw him on that thing with Jon Stewart because I'm paying attention. This is my news. This is my life. I got to pay attention,
Yeah.
right?
You know
I
these
probably
people.
saw him at least 5 times, and shame on me, I did not recognize him. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's my Louis. It just hit me out of the blue. That's my
You
Louis.
didn't recognize
And
him?
because the cancer got to him so bad, it ate him up so bad, you know? Because I knew this young, strong, healthy, handsome young man,
What
and
kind of cancer was it
I
that
don't know.
these
I
guys
don't know what they
got?
got so many different things because it just it's they were exposed to so many different chemicals and so many different things and for so long, like even if you weren't at ground zero, they would send you
Mm.
out to the Fresh Kills landfill out there where you are
Staten Island.
in Staten Island to go through the remains. So you'd go out there and sit there for 8 hours a day going through all the remains trying to find evidence and breathing that
That's
stuff in and breathing it in, and it
crazy.
poisoned your blood, it poisoned your lungs, it poisoned everything, and it was just a terrible, just a
Well,
horrible,
it's
horrible
just
thing.
crazy. It's just a tragedy. That's really a tragedy, and that is not talked about very much. You know,
Like
the
anything, how much can you? In reality, how much can you talk about something? You know, you beat it to death. It's been
true.
20. It's been 20 what? 3 years now?
That's amazing because it
Yeah,
seems like yesterday. I mean,
yeah,
I was living right below 14th Street at 12th Street, and actually after it happened, I had to go through a military checkpoint to get
yeah,
to my apartment
yeah,
for the first, I think, couple of weeks or
yeah.
something.
That's
Uh,
how I got there. The first day I ran down there, um, what do you call it? I got stopped. Where is that? Geez, is it like 20th Street or something? There's a an armory, and that's where everything stopped. Right at that armory on
oh,
the east
really?
side.
With where I was, it was Union Square was the cutoff point where
Okay, on
to
14th.
go below
Yeah.
Union Square.
So,
You
but
know, this is
I actually,
funny. This is actually funny. Like, join me with comedian Ed Pepitone, and we're going to talk about 9/11 disaster stories.
Yep. Well,
But
that's
you
how
know what?
conversations go when you have conversations. You never know where they're going to land.
You know what? That event was so traumatic that, and as a comedian, the way I deal with tragedy is through dark humor. I think
Sure.
cops must be similar.
Oh yeah.
Is that true? I mean,
I
because you guys are surrounded by that
if
shit,
you're
and
not
firemen.
if you're not gonna laugh, you're gonna cry. That's it. You know.
Right,
And I could tell you
right.
stories that would literally make me cry. But well, I'll tell you a story. And again, why am I
Uh-huh.
telling stories? You're supposed to be talking. You're the guest. You're supposed to be doing the talking.
Hey,
But
buddy, I'm trying. I'm giving you my best self.
I remember, you know, going to the death of a police officer one time. All right, it's a pretty hairy thing,
Mm, mm.
and what do you call it? Detective looking over the body. Everybody's very unhappy about this because we take
Not
it very
related to 9/11, something else.
no, something else, and we take it very personally, of course, because it's one of our own. And the guy just kind of looks, shakes his head, he says, "Better you to me, pal," which sounds so cold and callous and awful, but I understand it's his coping mechanism. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? He's trying to cope
yeah.
with it. And that's what comedians do. That's how you guys, cope with
Here's
all
an
this.
example. Here's an example of like how extreme comedians can be. One of our friends, comedians, uh, committed suicide. His name is Brody Stevens. I don't know if you ever knew Brody. He was a very funny guy.
Was
He
he a
didn't become
transplant?
no, no,
Okay.
he didn't become uh, really big, but he was beloved in the comedy world. And anyway, so Brody died, and we had a memorial at the Comedy Store where all these friends of Brody and comedians. It was hosted by Zach Galifianakis, who was Zach.
I do.
You must have heard of Zach. Anyway,
Sure.
it was hosted by Zach, and all of us comedians were at the Comedy Store. And Brody's had three really. Brody was a huge baseball guy. Like he would go to spring training with the Cubs, and uh, just like he was a huge baseball guy. And so three of his friends were baseball guys, and they came up and they spoke at the Comedy Store memorial, and they were all crying.
Mhm.
They could barely fucking speak. And right after them came Jeff Ross.
Yep.
Okay,
I know who he is.
Ross, the
The roast
roast
master.
master.
Yeah.
So Jeff comes up, and we're all miserable that day. I mean, we're all just so sad about Brody. And Jeff comes up, and he goes, after these three friends of his, they're lifelong friends of Brody's, can't even get through the memorial. And Jeff goes, Jesus Christ, now I'm beginning to understand why Brody killed himself. And
Oh,
let me tell you something. It was so cathartic.
sure. It's a relief.
I still thank Jeff to this day for that.
Yep.
And there was something, I mean, it's brutal, but it was so funny because it's like you were saying, how much can you talk about something? How serious can you take life? I mean,
Yes.
it's like life is, yeah, of course, it's super tragic and stuff, but also at some point, and this is why comedians, I think, are very valued. You have to have a sense of humor or you're fucked. If
Absolutely.
you don't have a sense of humor in this life, you are fucked.
Yep. And that's, now here's a, let me ask you this, okay? Being that you are now, officially, well, you'll always be a New Yorker because that's, my rule is wherever you go to high school is who you are.
I'll always be.
Yeah, you grew up in New York, you're always going to be a New
I
Yorker.
still root for I'm going to watch the Rangers today. I'm a Yankee nut. I don't know if
Well,
you're a sports guy.
actually, I'm not. I'm not much of a sports guy to
That's
tell you the truth.
interesting. I always wonder how guys don't get into that crap. I
Yeah,
was
but
just
and my
raised
mother,
with it.
funny enough, my mother was. My mother used to watch it on TV all the time.
Not your dad, though.
Huh? Well, my father ran off on us when I was a kid. You know, the
Oh,
old
okay.
he did the old Irish divorce. He went out for a pack of smokes and never came home. You know, and but
Is
my
that true?
yeah,
Jesus.
when I was 11, he took off on us, and
Mm.
but my mother did. My mother watched the Yankees and she watched the Jets. She was a fan of both. But I just
You
never turned
saved
me on.
yourself a lot of heartache with the Jets.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always kind of, maybe been like that. What was that character from the movie? I can't think of it right now. Bronx Tale. Chaz Palminteri, where he's like, these guys don't give a shit about you. Why do you care about them? And that's
Oh,
always been my attitude. You know?
it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's
That's always been
absolutely
my attitude.
true.
So,
But it's like, I don't know what it is. I think people get into it. It's a way to like get all your crap out and, and community, like you're rooting with your fellow New Yorkers for the
absolutely.
team,
No,
but
don't get me wrong.
it's
I understand. I get it. It's just not for me. It never turned me on. I never cared
good for
about
you, man.
never cared about any of the players.
What are your big, like, hobbies then, or things you follow
Well,
that,
I've always been a big music guy. I love music, you know.
oh, that's right.
Um, and
I
that's like me and
forgot.
JT do the punk rock thing. That was like our thing.
Do you
But
know
other
a
than that,
band called the Single Mothers?
I do not. I
Okay.
do not.
Check them out.
I will
My friend
absolutely.
told me about them yesterday, and I listened to a little bit of them, and they're awesome.
Yeah. But other than that, I get mixed up in projects. Whatever it is, I'm a very nervous guy. Not nervous like scaredy cat nervous, but
You have to
you
be
know,
busy.
I gotta be busy. I gotta do something, and this comes the books, or it comes, once I retired from the police department, owning bars and restaurants, things like that. It was an anxious thing that I had to do, but it was always more the creation of it, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
The creation was what I liked, and once it was created and operating, I wanted to move on to the next project, whatever that
Yeah.
thing was. And it could, sometimes they're big things, sometimes they're very small things, but it's something that gets under my
Yeah.
skin, and I got to get it out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but other than that, I've never been a big fan or of anything other than music, going to shows, going to concerts, things like that.
Mm,
And
mm,
even then,
mm.
not like a diehard. Oh my God, I got to go see this band. If I see him, I see him. I've never. Sad thing, you know what? All of my heroes have been people I've known. Not a sad thing. That's a good thing. You
That's a
know,
good thing.
like
That's a good
people
thing.
talk. The people get excited. I don't know who you're. Oh, I met Mick Jagger. I could really give a shit. If I meet Mick Jagger, I might like the Rolling Stones. I might love the songs. Meeting him personally, he's probably going to disappoint me. So I don't want to
Do
meet him.
you know what? I was just going to say that it's not, they say don't meet your idols.
Exactly.
You've heard that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I think it's true. It's like you realize they're just another fucking human being.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, for me, I've never, I just never
Hmm.
was that guy. But I know people, people from my neighborhood that I grew up with, or people, even younger people, but I've watched what they've gone through and I've seen what they've done, to better themselves or, and not to be talking about cop shit again, guys that really stuck their neck out to help other people, you know? Yeah, I can appreciate that. And for
Yeah.
me, I don't like the word hero, but I like people who do heroic things. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I think they're in short supply these days because
Absolutely.
the society, the culture has gotten so me. It's all about me. It's all about me.
Absolutely.
And
I agree with you 100%.
you know, I, I
There's
feel like
I don't know if the
I've
word is
fallen, huh?
narcissist that gets thrown around so
Yes.
much, but it seems like everybody's on that path, you know. And I'm painting a little
Well,
broad brush. I don't. I think there's.
no, no,
I
I
believe
agree.
most people are decent people, but I do think people have
I
become more
do
and more
too.
selfish. You know.
It's so interesting. People, speaking of narcissism, social media is a very narcissistic thing,
Absolutely.
where it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yep.
Uh, People trying to monetize it. And I mean, I don't blame them for that, but just the whole look at me shit. But then when you meet people in person, it's a very different thing. Like when I hold the door for somebody and I get a big thank you, that means a lot.
Absolutely.
When someone ignores it pisses me off a little bit, but you know, but it's really nice when you have these interactions face to face with people and you realize, oh yeah, yeah, people are okay. You know what I mean? It's like social media people turn into monsters.
Yes. Well, because it's very easy to be brave or to be, a tough guy, a wise guy, a smart ass when you're sitting 1,000 miles away banging away on your typewriter. What would
Right.
it be? Typewriter on your computer. You know, because but it's
You're
funny.
on your Smith Corona going, why isn't this going through?
You know, that's exactly, exactly.
Hey,
That's
honey, isn't this Smith Corona connected to the interweb?
yeah. Like you say, you're not a drinker, but I'm sure you've spent so much time in bars. And there's
Oh,
something
yeah.
about drinking culture that still I like. I'm not much of a drinker anymore myself. I haven't really drank for years, but I've owned
But
bars.
what about the culture?
And well, you have a culture there where people like growing up in my neighborhood, and it's the same in your neighborhoods. You know, after work, you might stop by the bar just to check in, to see what's going on your block, to see what's going on your street, on the avenue, whatever it is, to see. It was a neighborhood thing. It was a hub of the neighborhood.
You know where they do that is overseas, like the UK.
Sure,
They're
sure.
Ireland. Like the pub is
Hmm.
the social center.
Yeah.
Um, Here it feels more like I don't know. It's sort of like again, it sort of seems to be about a meat market or
Well, those
peacocking.
places, a true, not a pretend dive bar, but a true dive bar, a true
Yeah,
old man bar, an old fashioned gin mill. Even today, the ones that I've owned,
are
you
they
know,
still around?
yeah, yeah, sure. And that few and far between. There's a lot less. It wasn't like it was when we were kids in Manhattan. There was literally a bar on every single block, and each one had its own personality, its own style, its
What
own
was your favorite? Were you a McManus guy?
McManus. Never went. No, don't
Oh,
know
you
it.
never went. Okay.
No.
That's a
So
famous one, an old one with sawdust on the floor,
yeah.
you know.
No, for us in Yorkville, for the moment, we had Willie's Saloon, which I worked at one of my first jobs. 12 years old, I used to wash dishes in there.
Where was
It
it?
was 81st and Third.
Oh, okay.
There was that's long gone. Brady's, which is still there on 82nd and Second.
It's
Uh,
still there.
yep, Ryan's daughter is still there on 85th
Ah,
and First.
that one I
Um,
remember that a little
uh,
bit.
there's one that I
That's
always
Upper East, huh?
yeah, that I always stick in my books where my detective in the books hangs out, Tommy Keene, which is now called Bailey's Corner. But for us, it used to be Nash's Cash Box. It's the exact same place, just with a different name on it. But these places, again, have a very cohesive neighborhood feel to them still because of, again, the
Mm.
drinking culture. All the rummies show up, and then you have the average people that show up, the after work people that show up, the late night people that show up, the occasional
Yeah,
kid that's looking for his mother or father that shows up. But it's not a seedy thing, it's a neighborhood thing, and
right, right.
there's something that I miss quite a bit, quite a bit.
Well, I'm just wondering, we were talking before about how everybody's getting priced out of things, including the bar owners themselves. So
Absolutely.
how does this culture continue?
Yeah. Well, most of the people that I know that are still kicking own the building. That's the trick.
Is that right?
They bought it in the '70s when it was 40 grand.
Good for them.
And so
They're going to make a lot of money
oh, well,
when
that's
they
the other
sell
bad
it.
part though is now if you bought it for, let's say you bought it for 50 grand, 150 grand, 500 grand, how are you going to say no to $10 million?
You can't.
You can't. You can't.
I mean, I'm just thinking if somebody offered me that, I
No.
would take the money and I would go upstate where
Absolutely.
you are.
Yeah, and it's not even like a guy like me who would be a diehard. No, I want this to survive, but I got to think of my kids. You know,
Yeah,
I think of my
yeah.
grandkids. What am I going to do? I mean, if I can make this money, I got to make it, and that's why people sell out. It's not selling out; you're buying in, I guess. I don't know what the right word is. You got to.
Well, you're trying to take care of your family. You're trying to
Absolutely.
take care
Yeah.
of, the people close to you.
Here's a question for you, my friend. So out there now, talking this neighborhood nonsense. You're out in LA now for 22, 20 plus years, whatever it is. What do you miss the most about the city? About New York City?
What I miss the most?
Yeah.
You know, that's a good question. LA is a very strange place. Have you ever lived out here? You've been, obviously.
I've been. My sister lives up north. She lives in Salinas now. She married a man from
Oh,
LA. Yeah,
that's a beautiful part of California.
yeah.
Uh,
And she
it's
lives up
also,
there. She's been up there for like 30 years now. You know.
oh wow,
Yeah.
wine country kind of, right? Is that
Not
wine
well.
country
It's
or is
very
that?
where she lives now. It's very agricultural. So all your strawberries and blueberries and stuff like that, and lettuce and
Oh,
whatever,
right.
comes from
Okay.
the
Yeah,
city
yeah,
or
I know
Saginaw.
that.
And then the
Yeah.
Monterey Peninsula I just got
Monterey
married
is,
there. That's the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. Physically beautiful.
yeah.
It's just
I took a
gorgeous.
little vacay with my wife in Monterey a few years back, and they have a famous aquarium, and it's just really nice,
Monterey Aquarium.
coastal.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous place.
Yeah, it's really nice. But what do I miss about the city the most? Um, just the energy, I think.
Yeah.
Like the New York, the New York energy is so good. I mean, it's funny because I've been here 23 years, so I have a lot of friends here, and that's what's important in a place are people,
Yes.
right? But
Absolutely.
LA is so spread out. It's a sprawling suburb, really.
Mhm.
It's a suburb. Like I go to these, I'm such a New York snob. Like uh, I go to these neighborhoods that people tell me are cool, and I'm like, it's like 2 blocks of stores,
Yeah.
whereas I'm used to like one thing I miss about fucking New York, I gotta tell you, is just walk. Like, one thing I really love, it's easier to stay in shape in fucking New York City because you
Well,
just
because
walk all over the
even
place.
if you have a car, you don't want to lose the spot, so you walk instead. You know, it's
Yeah.
true.
I never fucking, once I moved out of Staten Island I first moved, I think, into Astoria. I never had a car. I always saw them as just a pain in the ass in this city.
How many people do you know now that you grew up with still can't drive?
Yeah.
You know, my
In New
wife
York.
my wife couldn't drive until she was 28. My mother-in-law never learned how to drive because you didn't have to. You know,
Right.
you just
Right.
didn't. So,
Right. I mean, I think guys like to drive more, but because I remember the first car I had was my mom's Mustang. I inherited, and I loved it. It was blue fucking Mustang. I
oh
remember the
yeah,
old Mustangs.
yeah, you were cool as shit driving around in that thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I do miss the walking culture and seeing people
Hmm.
just on the street, all kinds of different people. There's a great mix of people out here, but you don't see anybody
No,
unless you know what people do in LA. They don't walk, they hike.
the
They
hike.
hike.
Yeah.
They all go on hikes. And I used to be into the hiking when I first got here. You go to Griffith Park and you hike. But New York, you could go. Yeah, I used to walk. At some point I walked. At some point I lived in a village. It was like 12th and Third Ave, and I would just walk. I would walk up to Columbus Circle, and
Well,
things like
well,
that.
me and Christine, when we were young lovers, living in the city, we would, we had no money, we had nothing, and we would literally walk from Yorkville up in the 80s all the way down to Chinatown, have some
Yeah,
Chinese food, and walk. If we couldn't walk anymore, we catch a train back. But that was our day, was to go for that walk, and that
yeah. And how great is that? Like
and like you say,
all the
there's some
stuff.
energy. So you're looking at things, you're seeing different people,
Yeah.
and yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that.
So
I miss the
I
walking
miss
around.
that a lot. I miss good bagels and good pizza.
Yeah. Well,
You
where
know.
you were too now, did you ever go to John's restaurant and Venero's and Little
Yeah.
Poland? Little Poland was right there. So
On the east side, yeah. Yeah, the Lower East. Yeah, of
yeah, it's
course.
a
Of
block from where you
course.
said it was on 12th and Second. You said 12th and Third, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So all of those places, great places, great food, great food.
Great places, and also, like you were saying, very neighborhoody.
Yes.
Everybody from the neighborhood would congregate at these pizzerias or restaurants.
Well,
It was
I'm
very
I'm not
cool.
that far from the city. I still have a lot of ties to the city, but it's not my city
Yeah, you're
anymore.
not that far. No, huh?
It's not
Yeah.
my well, because there's no neighborhood people left. Everybody's gone. Everybody's left the city. Said like there's no New Yorkers left in New York. Like I said at the beginning of this show, and that's what I think I miss. Like part of that drinking culture we were taught, that neighborhood culture is the closeness. It sounds corny, you know, but the idea when I was a kid, and the same when you were a kid, I'm sure, if I cut school, everybody told my mother, "Oh, I saw your boy running around today. He had no school today. Why wasn't he in school today?" You know, and it was a good thing to have. My sister would come home from school, and If there was,
Mm,
some creep or a junkie on the stoop, because we had lived in a regular tenement building, she would walk across
hmm.
the street to the bar and go in there, and the bartenders would go chase the guy away.
Oh wow.
Make sure she get in all right. That's true stuff. Happened several times, because we knew everybody, and there was that
Yeah.
sense of neighborhood, which
Right.
sadly I just don't feel anymore. I mean, you walk down the street now, and nobody wants to look you in the face. Nobody looks you in the eye. Nobody says
Yeah.
hello. It's sad. It's
That is sad. That is sad. And I wonder if it's because everybody is so fragmented and everybody's behind their computer.
yeah.
Everybody's behind their computer. And if you don't have that community and neighborhood,
hmm
you feel like everybody's a threat.
yeah, absolutely. And I think you can't get the closeness because they're not from or of the neighborhood to begin with. They're there. Everybody's there for 5, 10 years to make their money, and they move on to something else. You know,
Right.
if they get married and decide to have kids, then they move out to Long Island or back to, Ohio or Wisconsin or wherever the hell they're from to raise their families. They don't do it in Manhattan anymore. That's the thing of the past. Yeah.
That's too bad because there's such great culture. I mean, and
Oh, absolutely.
also what I miss is that you could take a train to fucking either the Museum of Modern Art or the Natural History Museum. I was a big Central Park guy. I used to, I used to rollerblade in Central Park.
Yeah.
I used to walk through Central Park, man. Hang out in the sheep meadow. You know the sheep meadow.
Oh, all of it. I
Uh,
remember. Absolutely. Well, remember, like I say, I'm not that far. In fact, my daughter's still down there now. My daughter's got,
is she?
yep, she's got my old apartment, and she's doing pretty well for herself, I'm happy to say.
Oh,
Her and her
nice.
husband, and they love it. They love it. So
That's
I can
great.
see them again as soon as they get in the family way saying, oh, this isn't for us anymore. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's too bad. That's too bad, you know.
but things change. You know what, my friend?
They
On
do.
that note, let's take a quick break. All right? We're
Hmm.
going to come right back, everybody, with more Eddie Pepitone. All right, there you go. So, I'll reintroduce you, and we'll start bullshitting again. Anything you want me to ask you, or point you in the right
No,
direction?
do you want to hit on do you want to hit on true crime or
Sure, sure. You know what? If you want,
just ask me whatever is on your mind?
well, even what we can do is we can come back and, you can ask me about the books. And I'll say, oh yeah, we do this crime con thing. It's
All right,
called
let's
true
do that.
crime
I'll ask you about
because
the
women
books.
love true crime, whatever, whatever. And bang, that's your door. And then obviously we will have no problem going on from there. All right. Are you ready? Here we go. Hey everybody, how you doing? We're back with my friend Eddie Pepitone here, having quite the good conversation too. Although we haven't
Well,
been
the
able
old
to talk
hood.
comedy, you know.
Well, you know one thing about comedy, Travis, it cannot be forced.
True, true. Well, I didn't want you to come on and
When
make
you
everybody laugh, but we haven't talked much about comedy. We started talking all about the city and the neighborhoods and stuff like that, which
yeah.
I actually very much enjoy. So thanks for that.
Yeah, there's still great comedy clubs in this. You know, the Comedy Cellar is considered the best club in the city. Um, Still great comedy club. Do you go to comedy clubs? I bet you don't.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have been back to a neighborhood city guy kind of thing, okay? Um, the comic strip on Second Avenue, okay,
I perform there, yeah.
was only a couple of blocks from where I grew up. The One of the staff members was a guy that I grew up with my whole life. So we would go in there to drink, and we would see all the comedians all the time for free. Yeah, come on in. We got tables. Yeah, go in the back, guys. Sit down. I saw so many guys. I saw Chris Rock in there. He was probably 17 years old. The most unfunny guy. I mean, because obviously he was brand new. Every other
Yeah.
word out of his mouth was a curse.
Right,
Not funny at
right.
all. I
He
could
was
not
just
believe
finding himself.
I could
Hmm.
not believe how great he was 10 years later. You know, um, oh geez,
Oh yeah,
what's the
yeah.
I
I
forget the
used
name
to
of the
hang
guy.
out
It's,
with, I remember meeting Jon Stewart before he got the Daily Show, before anything, you know. And he was just a cool dude in the club. He was always real smart. Like he could always Like when I was hanging with Stewart a little bit before he got famous, I was like, "Oh, this guy's a smart dude." Who else did I saw Ray Romano at the comic strip before he was
Yeah,
fucking anybody,
yeah,
and he was just up there talking like Kermit. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I saw
Um,
I saw Adam Sandler in there. Very,
oh,
very
you
young
did?
man. He could have been more than 20, 22 years old. I saw him in
Yeah,
there.
he's a Long Island boy, I think.
Yeah. I remember him. He was wearing just like a plain white T-shirt and gray sweatpants. You know, and
Really?
that was it. Yeah.
What a
And
bum.
one night I was coming. There used to be a pizzeria right next door called Ollie's Pizzeria, and I hadn't been. I wasn't in the bar that night. I was leaving, from the pizzeria, and as I stepped onto Second Avenue, Eddie Murphy almost run me over with his car. All right, and we knew who he was at the time because he was just making it. That's when he was,
He was on
making.
SNL.
Yep. And I don't know if he was on SNL yet, but we knew who he was, so he must have been on SNL because that's what made him, right? So,
Yes,
and he
yes.
was in, I think it was a Trans Am or a Camaro or something like that.
He
One of
almost
those.
ran you over.
Yeah, well, he was, he missed me by like this much, but he stopped the car. He was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He didn't get out of the car or anything like that. He
Were
just,
you a cop back then?
no, I was a young man then. I was probably,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. I was probably 22 years old myself
oh.
at that stage of the game.
When did you become a cop?
I didn't become a cop till I was 28. So,
Is that right?
yeah, a little bit later for me.
And
I
how
worked.
long were you a cop for?
I
How long were
my
you a cop?
career, my career, sadly or happily, depending on who you ask, was cut in half by a very nice young drug dealer who cut my finger off. They put it back on, but it doesn't work anymore. He kicked the door closed on my hand. It took this finger off, smashed his finger up really good, and 8 months later, I was out of a job because
Why? Because you couldn't use a gun,
it's
or
my pistol hand, exactly. And it's not that anybody gives a shit about Travis Myers. They're worried about the lawsuits. So what they do is they it's a union thing and it's a city thing. Even if I had wanted to stay, they wouldn't let me. I mean, the finger doesn't work properly and you can't feel in it. There's no sensation. So
right?
that's
Can
it.
you still give people the finger?
Yes, I do.
Luckily, it wasn't your middle. I
No,
mean,
that was
that would have
terrible.
been that would have been worse than your
Yes,
pistol
absolutely.
finger.
No, so the way it works, you keep your pension, you keep your health care, which is great,
Pension
but
healthcare, that's great.
you never make your true earning potential. That's the bad part. So
Ah,
had I
you
stayed
would
where
have got
I
a
had
bigger
been,
pension.
I would have had a nice fat pension. Exactly. I got a little small pension now, but I'm not complaining because luckily for me, it well,
Is that why you got into bars and
yeah, that's where
stuff?
I got into bars and fooling around with real estate and stuff like that. Because as an uneducated guy, there was not much I could do. But I worked in bars and clubs. Well, back in that time we were just talking about, I worked at the Baja Club. I worked at probably, I don't know, between 8 and 12 different bars and nightclubs all over New York City. So I had a good
Right,
taste for it. I had a good feel for it,
right.
and I opened my first place and it took off. I just sold it a year
After
and a half
you
ago.
had to retire,
Yes,
you opened your first place. How long were you in the police force?
almost 10 years.
Oh, so 10 years. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And your books, what are your books about?
Uh,
You've mentioned your books.
the books are fiction. It's a fictional character, but what we do is we take stories.
Who's we?
My sister, my sister Natasha and I. She's my co-author. Okay, and
Oh.
so we write. We have this fictional character, and
Uh-huh. What's his name?
that Tommy Keene.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Keene is a New York City police detective, and we take true stories and we fictionalize them into. So okay,
Give me an example of one true story that you fictionalize. What's the true story?
what's the true story? All right. Well,
Yeah, give me an example.
in the very first book, okay. And again, you're interviewing me now. We're supposed to be interviewing you, but okay. The very first book,
Look,
Tommy
look.
Keene.
Yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead.
tell you a story. All right. So Tommy Keene. It's a rough little prologue, right? Where these two dogs are killed. They take it's awful, but it's a true story. The dogs being killed, okay, happened to my brother. It was my brother's case. He was a cop also. All right.
And we were just talking about how dogs are the best.
The best, exactly. People open up that book and they read it for how can you write that? I can't believe you wrote that. I tell them it's a true story, lady, or fella, whatever. It's a true story. And then in this story, okay, so the dogs are killed. It's terrible. The super who owned the dogs kills the bad guy who killed his dogs, the police got to lock him up. There's no getting around that, right? So they lock him up.
He he killed the guy who killed his dogs. I always feel like
Correct.
anybody who's killed a dog deserves to be fucking killed.
Well, I
But go
agree with
ahead.
you. So then Tommy Keene, our hero, okay, feels bad for this guy that he locks up, and on his way to central booking, he takes him out and gets him drunk. Okay, on the way to central booking. This is a true story, as ridiculous as
Okay.
it sounds.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and then of course when they're in the bar, some bad guys come in to rob the bar. They disarm them, they fight them, whatever. But this brings the attention to them that they have a bad guy in the bar with them, and Tommy gets bounced from his precinct in the Bronx to a precinct in Manhattan, and that's where the series takes off. But right there, all four of those stories that I just mentioned, although they happen to different people, are real. And I just
Right.
wrapped them around one character, you know.
I
And I'll tell
see.
you, these true crime people eat it up. These things took off like a shot. I'm so happy that they did because I never knew how in the world a guy that looks and talks like
Dude,
me could
what
be an author, but I am. You know,
yeah, the true crime stuff, why do you think it's so popular? Because in a way, and I've gotten a little addicted to it, but I always kind of put the brakes on it because I feel like you're watching this horrific shit
hmm
that has happened to people and you're using it as entertainment.
you
You know
absolutely
what
are.
I mean?
You are. I agree
It's
with you
like
100%.
is this tragedy and murder entertainment?
Yes.
You know, I think that people are fascinated by the extremes. Like, I think everybody thinks about murder or whatever, but these people have actually done it.
Yes.
And yeah, it's
To answer your
crazy.
question, I think there's again most people. All right. And I'm not
Hmm.
disparaging anybody you're talking bad about, but most people have fairly
Boring.
thankfully, very boring lives. Okay, and
Yeah.
why do we, all of us, you and I together, we may watch or like different things, but why do we love the cowboy movies so much? Cowboys are a small slice of American history, but they were free. They were free to do whatever they wanted to
Mm.
do. Why do we love gangsters like The Sopranos and all the Robert De Niro movies? Because they're free. They have the freedom to do whatever they
They're
want.
breaking the law.
They're breaking the law, but in a classy way. You know what I'm saying?
Not
Although it's
really.
bullshit, it's a
Yeah,
bullshit
it's
line
bullshit.
because we
Yeah.
know these guys from our neighborhoods and they're not always so classy, but they have that persona that we like, and so we can inject
The
ourselves
outlaw.
into it for two
The
hours.
outlaw.
Yeah, we can inject ourselves into it for 2 hours and step out. And now, like the thing with the a lot of the true crime sadly surrounds around these serial killers and stuff like that, which I don't understand at all. But it's a true thing, though, especially with women. Women really like these characters, you know? And I think it's because they
Why?
like, I don't know why, but I think it's that
You don't have any insight?
they like to be scared. Well, I don't know what works in their
Oh,
head, but I think they like the fear. The fear is tantalizing or titillizing or whatever word you want to use. It excites them, you know? And it's something that so many, especially women, want to do is they like the idea of the bad guy that they can still fix. You know, these you see these people, they send them letters in prison.
well,
All of
that's
these guys
insane.
get married after they when they finally get locked up. They couldn't meet a girl on their best day, you know, without killing them. Okay, they get locked up and now they're married.
That's hilarious to me. Is
It's true though. You know, it's
well,
crazy.
it's just so crazy.
It is crazy. It is.
It is so crazy. What you're talking about is the idea of the bad boy being attractive,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, I think so. Sure, absolutely. And
And when I hear of women writing letters to serial killers, I'm like, do they have a death wish? These women, you know, like what
I
the
don't
fuck?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. You know, but guys have their own thing too. You know, the
Yeah.
motorcycle club thing, you know, the biker gang, Hell's Angel, whatever thing, or you know, I tell you what, same thing for me. When I went in the
Hmm.
army, you know, I went in the army. Thank God I did it. It's something that I needed. I had, I was a high school dropout living in New York City in the
Oh, really?
70s and 80s. Nothing's going right for me. Nothing was going wrong for me. I was too young for anything to be going wrong for me yet.
Right,
But at
right.
17, my brother and I both joined the army, and when I took my ASVAB, which is a test that you take, they wanted me to be an operating room assistant. All right? Good job. I would have been around nurses all day. I would have been in air conditioning. I would have been in a hospital, right?
You
That's
don't
not
want to
what
do
I did.
that.
I became a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne because it was the most John Wayne thing I could think of.
Yeah,
To test my
yeah.
metal, to test my steel,
How
to really,
was that?
yeah.
Because that sounds crazy. That sounds wild to be a
It's a crazy
paratrooper.
thing, sure. Yeah, it's nuts.
There are people who I just have a thing with heights. I couldn't even be a hot air balloon paratrooper, jumping out of a hot air uh, balloon. The heights scare the shit out. Jumping out of an airplane just seems insane to me.
It's a very silly thing to do, you know. And it's the same, not for nothing. It's the same thing with being a police officer, detective, or being a fireman. These are silly. We sign up for them because it's in us to do it, but it's a very silly way to live your life. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. People don't really
Well,
respect you or care
if
about
you're
you.
being of service to
Yeah,
others,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's a great thing. The firemen are so well respected now. Um, I don't know if they always were, but man,
oh yeah, firemen are
out
respected.
here in LA, yeah, because they don't have that, cops. There's a lot of antagonism because of, the shootings that happen and all this. But with firemen, they just come in and save things
Exactly.
constantly.
Yep.
And out here, after these fires, and year after year, we have these fires. This year was the worst, but these guys, it's unbelievable the selflessness, and I think people just relate to that selflessness. I mean, they're what you talked about before, like real heroes,
Yeah.
and sometimes, when I'm trying to make some meaning out of my life, I'm like, well, comedians help people. Like this is me going, comedians help people, let off steam and, you know,
Not for nothing, you do. You
yeah,
do. In fact, I was talking. I don't know if you know this. I talked to her the other day. Really, really nice girl, Carmen Morales. You know Carmen Morales?
yeah, I
She's a
love her.
comedian. She's out there in L.A. with
She's
me too.
great.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
great.
she's great.
Very, very nice. Very sweet girl. I liked her very much.
Very.
Woman, I'm sorry.
When
Yeah,
did you, when did you see her?
I talked to her. No, I talked. I did a podcast with her a couple of weeks ago. A few weeks. I don't know. A month ago. I don't know when the hell it was, but she was on the
Hmm.
show recently, and she actually had a
Hmm.
story. She said, you were a detective. Let me tell you the story. And she told a story about she was doing a show wherever it was, L.A., New Mexico, Florida. I don't know, and she was bullshitting with the customers after the or bullshitting with the audience after the show, and one of the uh, women that was there was a female detective, and she said, I really want to thank you for what you did uh, today. You made me laugh. And she said, well, it's my job. She took it lightly. It's my job. I make people laugh. I'm a funny girl. And I don't know if it was the woman or the woman's friend or something. Well, you know, she just had a dead child in her arm a few hours ago, and for for the hour that she sat with you, she didn't think of that. During your
Wow.
set, you took it all away, and there is some truth to
Mm,
that, my friend. Because
absolutely.
so many times in my own life, you're upset, you're bent out of joint, whatever it is, and it might not even be obviously going to a show, which most people don't do, but your stupid half an hour sitcom on TV,
Yeah.
you you disappear into that
Yeah.
show for a half an hour, and it is very therapeutic for a working class person. You know, it really is.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
there's
Yeah. Well, that's
some
what keeps me going in one way too. What's hard these days is feeling a sense of community. And when I'm in front of people and everybody's laughing, that's a real sense of community. And it's always, I've talked to comedians who say, "Oh, I don't like meeting people after shows." And I love it
yeah,
because I get all this, feedback, and like validation and like people telling, you know, people are
I
like
can
so
say,
grateful. Mhm.
of course, talking about you directly, all right, because I do know you. You know, we don't know each other really well, but I know you. You know, enough to say you've slept in my house. How's that? What do you call it?
Well, that was just a fling me and you had, but go ahead.
Yes. But it was such a pleasure having both you and JT. And of course, JT, as you know, is I don't know how you could spend
Mm.
so many hours on the road with him because he's never off. He goofs and jokes and jokes and jokes. But the
Yeah, I
two of
love
you
him.
were
He's
sitting there
become
with us.
such a good friend.
We were
Yeah.
laughing. We were having a good time. Everything was pleasant, right? When you came off stage that night, what did we see? I think we saw you in Poughkeepsie. You were glowing. You had a great
Really?
set. You had a great night, and you were like, you know, even though you were 60
Yeah,
whatever years
that's
old at
my
the time,
fuel.
it
Yeah.
was you were like a kid on Christmas morning because it was a
That's
good show, and you were like,
yes.
fuck yeah, that rocked, you know. And I know they're not
Yeah.
all like that, all right,
Right.
but that
Right.
night, man, that was impressive. That was
Yeah.
impressive. So,
Yeah, and that's yeah, and that only happens because I'm sharing it with
well,
others.
exactly, exactly, and that's and the thing that now there too here, and I actually got what do I want to say? I got pleasure from your pleasure. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, of
Because now I had
course.
a, you know, and I like JT. I've probably seen JT, for, I don't know, 2 dozen times at least, coming through different comedians, different shows, different whatever. When he was very, very, very first starting out, you know, I met JT. He used to bartend for me. All right, we're talking
Oh, I
for
didn't
our
know
audience.
that.
We're talking about the comedian JT Haberset for people that don't know who we're talking. Because now we're having a private conversation, and our listeners really are kind of left out. But
I didn't really
anyways,
that right.
yeah, you know, I've watched him too, and I've seen him the same thing when he steps off the stage after a good set. Ah, it's magic. It's magic,
Yeah.
and it's something I'm a little envious of you guys when that happens. You know, I
Yeah,
really am.
that's a good thing to be envious of. You don't want to do all the travel and all the bullshit,
Oh
you
no, we
know.
know
The
what that is.
grind of it is a little much when, especially my age at this point, you know. Hey, I want to ask you, since true crime, right? This has just been on my head. What the hell? And I know this is kind of going off topic. I mean, not off topic, but not what we were just talking about. What the hell do you think happened to Gene Hackman, his dog, and his wife?
I don't
Is
know.
that the weirdest fucking?
That is such a bizarro story, and hopefully by the time this airs, because it won't be out for a few weeks, what do you call it? We'll have an answer. But again, we've got nothing back from the coroners yet, so we don't know. We
I
know that
hear
he
it might
wasn't,
take months.
but we know he wasn't beaten to death.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, there
Mm-hmm.
was no signs of any blunt trauma, stabbing, shooting, any of this stuff.
Right.
But the dog is dead in the closet. The wife is dead in one room. He's in the mudroom. It was bizarro. It's a bizarro
What is a
story.
mudroom again?
You know, well, it's the thing that rich people have, where you
Yeah.
step in and you could take your shoes off and stuff like that, and hang your coat up before you enter. It's kind of like a back door entrance to get undressed and take your clothes off, so you don't, you know, walk through your house with your dirty shoes. And they call it
Oh,
a
okay.
mud room, so that
Oh, okay.
you know,
Okay. I
yeah,
think we called it a foyer.
yeah. Well, the foyer is always in the front, you know, when you enter the
Right.
building. So,
Oh,
or,
okay.
or a
Yeah. Yeah.
vestibule.
Yeah.
We always call it a vestibule,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
vestibule and
Yeah.
foyer is like the
Yeah.
entrance, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
mud room typically is in the back. And I would assume, like, if you were a farmer, I say rich people, but if you were a farmer or something, you'd have some
You
place to
have
hang
to,
all your
yeah,
filth off.
that's, I understand that. And New Mexico. So, but it's a wild story. And I love Gene Hackman. I mean, everybody. He was such a great actor.
He was a great
And
kid and a hard working actor, man. There's a journeyman right there. He was in a million movies back in the day. You know?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was reading his obit and they were talking about all his, uh, you know, when he worked his ass off and he had to take a 2 year break at some point because he was so exhausted. But yeah, such a great actor. And then he got older and he went to New Mexico, New Mexico is nice. I don't know if you've been New
I've been, you know
Mexico,
what? I've been through New Mexico. I've been to. It's a sad thing for me. You know, I've done so much traveling with the bands and stuff when we were doing the record thing. But and you know, as a comedian, so I can say, yeah, I've been to whatever 38,
but you
40
weren't there long enough.
I
I
never,
know.
you know,
I
you
know.
shoot in, you're there
Yeah.
for an hour or
Yeah.
two, you get something to
Yeah.
eat, you get in a hotel if you're lucky, you know, and then you're off to the next city. So
It's
I've
true.
been through all of these places, but I've never spent any time in them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
And
But
so I've seen
one
things.
thing that's great about New Mexico, I just want to tell you this,
Yeah,
is they have no fucking public advertising. There's no billboards.
yeah,
Like, it's great. Like, you aren't assaulted constantly with,
yes,
be a Verizon customer or, this, that, all that bullshit,
yes,
all the capitalist bullshit.
yeah,
It's like you just are out there in nature. It's very interesting. And so Hackman decided to live his remaining, I don't know, 20 years there or something. But it's just a bizarre story. And I was also, it's so funny when I heard the dog died. I was like, that disturbed me almost more. I was like, why did the, because there were other dogs found alive on the property, but
correct.
why did this dog?
Well, that's why at first they thought it might be a gas leak, and it makes sense to me. If there was a gas leak, everybody would just eventually pass out and die, right? If you couldn't smell it, you'd all pass out and die. Or when I say gas or carbon monoxide poisoning, you know, because you get
It's
overcome with the
scary. Like,
smell,
how do you know if you can't smell it?
right? But they said that they tested the house and there was no
Oh,
no
that's
carbon
right.
monoxide, you know. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. So we'll see.
We'll see, huh?
They'll figure it out somehow, you know.
Yeah, you ought to put that in one of Tommy Keen's
There you go.
stories. Like it's got a lot of things in the sense that, an Oscar-winning actor is found, and his wife was younger, probably
His
20
well,
years
I
younger,
think his I
knowing
think his
Hollywood.
wife was like in our age, but he was
Right.
95, so she was like
Oh, what?
30 years younger than him. All right.
Right.
So
That
you might
that's the
say she was an
benefit
old
of
lady, but not in comparison.
no,
You know.
no.
Oh, strange.
No, so why did she? So it must have been some kind of poisoning. But then they were like, and this is all the true crime stuff, right? Then they're like, well, there were pills scattered around, that kind of thing. Did you hear that too?
Yes, there
So,
were pills, but it could have been again. She could have passed out while she was opening her pills because she felt lightheaded or she felt whatever, and
oh,
flopped on the
right,
floor. And now there's pills all over the place because she fell down with them in her hand. You know, but you never
right,
know. Yeah, I mean, things are. It's the old truth is stranger than fiction is true. I've seen some bizarre
right. What
things.
kind of then chemical could have done it? Do
I have
you have
no
any?
idea. No
No?
idea.
Tommy Keene? No
No
ideas?
idea. No. Well, the dog too is the really strange thing. What killed the dog? I mean,
Right.
if somebody
Why didn't the
poisoned
dog?
if somebody poisoned the adults, why would they poison the dog? And why was the dog in the closet? It's bizarre. The whole
Was
thing
it
is
in the
bizarre.
closet?
Yes, sir. Now here we go again too. The dog was in a closet, but for all we know, it could have been one of those, rich people. We're talking about a famous actor here. It could have been a rich person's closet that's bigger than my bedroom. I don't know.
Oh,
But the
a
dog was
closet
found in a
you'd like to
closet.
live in. A
Yes,
closet you'd like to live. A
exactly.
closet you could raise a family in.
In New York, absolutely.
Well, that's what they are.
Yes,
New York
sir.
apartments are closets.
Yes, sir.
Mm, mm. Anyway, that's been on my mind because I was such a fan
Yes.
of Hackman, and it seems like, God damn it, the thing about life is no matter how great your life is, it always ends, and it usually doesn't end good.
No.
I mean, if you're lucky, you die in your sleep, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that, like very peacefully, you're like, good night. You're like 95, dog. You just finished
Yeah.
your evening applesauce, and you're like, good night, dear. And you lay your head down and you're dreaming of dogs, and then you pass on. But a lot of people have it rough, man, when they go. And it sounded like even Hackman.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, will we ever know? I'm sure we'll figure something out, but it's a bizarre story. It really is. Really is.
Really is,
And the
and
funny thing,
yeah,
getting back to the old thing now, again, you and I being in our fourth quarters, how odd it's been now. Like it seems like there was a time when all of our grandparents and aunts, passed, and then of course our parents and our aunts and uncles all went, and now it's we're looking at now all of our friends are going, and it's just the clock is ticking.
you're right.
You know,
You're right, man.
I hate to be negative, But for me, it makes me more positive, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And you know what? I hate this shit where we have to be, oh, don't be negative. You're not being negative. You're being realistic. You're just looking at things. It's not really a tragedy in a way. We all fucking die.
Well, it's
All
funny,
of us.
right?
Spoiler alert, as they
Yeah.
say, you're gonna be gone. And hopefully you get to, you know, I think focusing on the fact that we're all gonna be gone makes you appreciate being here a
But
little more.
that's what I'm saying. For me, it's positive. I don't,
Right.
I don't, in myself, I'm not a religious person. I don't think I'm going upstairs or
Meaning.
downstairs. I don't want to say I don't buy into it. I actually
Well,
wish.
as far as I can tell from what I know about you, I'm going to say down, but you do whatever you. I mean, you may get lucky.
I might get lucky, but I do think, again, that having and it's not being pessimistic at all, knowing that our time is limited, I'm going to enjoy the time I have. I'm going to do good things with the time I have. I'm going to love my wife, my kids, my friends as much as
Yeah,
I can because I won't be able to do it forever, you know?
absolutely. And it's like don't let death terrify you. Let it be a motivator,
Sure.
right?
Let it liberate you. I
Let it
wouldn't say make it your
liberate.
friend, but let it liberate you. Let it say, hey man, I got to get some stuff done before I go. So
Yeah, yeah. I've got to clean the gutters.
yeah.
Speaking of limited time, I have 10 minutes, just FYI.
Oh yeah, because you got your own
So
podcast you got to do,
I
right?
gotta I gotta go. Yeah, I do it in a park, which is hilarious. I don't. And I have a great producer who does the audio for us. We have like I'm in my all this technology. I like the creative part. I like sitting around bullshitting, having fun. The
Well,
technology is a pain in the ass to
for
me.
you and I, my friend, we will share this with our listeners. What a rotten time we had. We tried to do this last Sunday. This is a Sunday. We're recording this on a Sunday, everybody. We tried to do it last Sunday, and we couldn't get through for nothing. It was
Yeah,
such a pain in the ass. And I mean,
I
I
get so
enjoyed.
frustrated. Like I don't know if you knew, but I was just pissed. I was like, why the fuck is this link not like I get pissed.
I'm the same way, and I almost have my body almost rejects technology, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It turns it off immediately, and then I'll have my wife, or if God forbid my kids are around. When I say God forbid, they'll help me out, but they'll help me out in not a nice way, and then call me a jerk when I leave the room because I couldn't get it right. you know,
It's good
and
you have them around though for that.
yes. Well, on occasion, both my kids are grown now, but when they're around, my daughter comes in and says, "What? What?" She doesn't want it to help me to begin with. She makes a big deal
Right.
about it, and then of course it is click. Have a nice day, old man. You know, and she fixes it for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
with these fucking here's something, and I know you live more in this world than I do. What is with the apps for everything? Why do I need an app? Why do I need an app for McDonald's?
Oh, because that's all marketing for
I
them,
don't get
I
it.
believe. I
I
think
don't get it.
they want you to download the fucking app so they have everything with you. They have your email, they have your preferences, all this shit. That's all, yeah, yeah. But like this app is pretty good. I was looking at it, this Riverside, I downloaded it
Well,
and
you
it
weren't
looks
so
like it's a
happy with it
pretty
last
good.
week, but this week
No,
you're
no,
going to be
I
burned.
hated it last week. It's so funny once you hate these things until you're like, oh, okay, this can be beneficial to me, and it can be. This shit can be, and it's allowing us to talk. It's allowing us to have a podcast. I'm in LA, you're in fucking New York, 3,000
Oh
miles
yeah,
away,
yeah.
and we're
It's
able to
wild.
do this.
It is wild. Absolutely. No,
And
no.
that's the technology. So the technology is not all bad,
Well,
obviously.
it's like these stupid phones that we all have, right? I truly believe that these smartphones that we have is the greatest tool in the history of the world. The bad part of it is, I mean, this is real Star Trek shit we're using here, right? The bad part, though, is that everybody is the old uses it for evil instead of good kind of thing. You know, Because
Yeah.
you poison yourself with, I don't know, with TikTok or with constant shopping or pornography or whatever it is that you
Yes.
can't. You look at bullshit, bullshit, bullshit instead of talking to people. You know, I'm
Right.
glad. One thing I'm glad about our age group is that we didn't have this. We had each other. You know, are
Yeah.
you a gamer? Do you play games at all? Like I've never played video
No.
games.
No.
No,
No. And I find out about the gaming culture, and it is huge. And
giant,
people,
giant.
and it blows my mind. And people are so into it, and they really are, I think, fucking divorced from reality. And not only that, but they make tons. Do you know the market for people who watch people playing games online?
It's crazy. This stuff is so crazy to me. And for me, and I bet I'm going to put you in the
They
same boat.
watch people playing
Same.
games.
When you remember when the machines first came out, they were in an arcade, but usually in a pizzeria on the corner,
Yeah,
right? And you had Donkey Kong or
yeah.
Pac-Man or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But when these came out, I was already like 14, 15 years old, and three quarters, 75 cents could get you a quart of beer. You get a quart of Budweiser for 75 cents, or put it into a machine that's going to do nothing but frustrate me for, 15 minutes, right? I never
Right,
got into it. I was more interested in beer or chasing girls or being a dummy on the corner than playing these games.
right.
And thank God,
Same.
because I think again we lost the interact. That was the beginning of the end for human interaction, you know, and
Yeah.
it's
I
hurting.
do a joke. I do a joke about games. I say to the audience, all these video game, I say, do you know, folks, that they have found out that a lot of people are playing these games sober? Because to me, they would just be a stoner's delight. You're like just
Exactly.
into this fucking shit, into this world. But a lot of people just fucking love these things,
Yeah.
But I
Well,
gotta go, buddy. This was a great talk. I hope we talked about well, I hope this was satisfying to you.
you know what? It was very satisfying to me. I hope it's satisfying for our listeners because I actually really feel that you and I had a private conversation here. And hopefully everybody got
Yeah,
a kick out of what we were saying. But me personally, I love talking to you. And I hope you come visit me again sometime.
absolutely. Absolutely. I loved it. And hopefully I see you in person.
Yes. Well, next time you're out. I don't know when you guys are coming back, but I'm sure
What?
it won't be long.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're
I
right.
mean, it's like once a year for you guys, right? Every 18 months or so, you guys rotate through.
Yeah, and I come out more and more now
Yeah.
on the East Coast.
Well, you still have all your family here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, man, so thank you very much.
Hey, give a plug to your podcast for everybody, because that's where he's the
Okay,
one that has the best podcast. I'm sorry, go
my
ahead.
pod, my podcast is called Apocalypse Soon,
Yes,
and it's
Apocalypse
available
Soon,
on, yeah,
everything.
it's available on all the platforms. It's a very silly podcast, where I'm very silly. Not like this one where I was very, very serious. I can't get enough of 9/11 sometimes.
Eddie, my friend,
All
it's really
right.
good seeing you again. All the
All
best. Take care.
right.
I got to turn it off now. Hang on a second.
Okay.